Okay, so today's project, we're going to be removing this rear brake caliper off this Ferrari 430. This particular car has CCM brakes. You can see there by the rotor. It's carbon. And basically what's going on here is I was actually in one of my other videos, I was doing bleeding out the ABS brake system. And come to find out when I came to this caliper here on the driver's rear, found out that one of the pistons in here, it's somewhere on this side here, is the seals are leaking, and it's actually leaking fluid. It's all in here, and it was dripping in here, and it was actually puddled up in the rear wheel. Okay, so we're going to remove this now, and then see if we can go ahead and rebuild this caliper, maybe put some new seals in there. Okay, so first off, I'm going to go ahead and remove these pins here. All right, and then go ahead and take these brake pads out. So let me go ahead and get this taken apart here and get these pads out, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, I just went ahead and left the pads in there so I can show you what I have here. So here's the two pins, and of course these go in through the backside here, go all the way through here. Okay, then you have this clip, this spring clip right here, and basically what this does, you see that groove right here, it hooks under this pin here. Once you have this pin in here, it hooks under, then you push it down. It's got to have a tension on it when you push it down, and then once you push this here, then you can push the other pin this way, and it's going to go over the top of this groove here. Then when you release this, it'll put tension on these pins. Okay, and it fits between these grooves right here. Okay, so like this, it's going to look like that when it's in here. Okay, and then what I did was I took a little just a little, like a little flathead right here, and I kind of worked this little sensor here. The wire goes through here. Just kind of worked that out. Just be careful, you'll break this. Okay, so I worked that out, and it looks good, no damage. Brake pads, the pistons are here, and they're pushing this way and this way, so I kind of pushed on these pads a little bit this way here, pulled on it this way here to push that piston a little bit, give it a little bit of slack, so I can work these pads out here. Okay, see if I can get this out. A little snug, but okay. All right, there's one there. Okay, so that there. Let's see if I can get the other one out here. Okay, a little snug there. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, just set that right there. Okay. All right, yeah, you can see where some of the fluid was in there. See, dripping. So okay, and the rotor looks good. It doesn't look like it's got brake fluid on it or anything. It's not contaminated. Same thing with the brake pads too. I don't see any contamination on there, so that's good from the brake fluid. Okay, so yeah, so these are these right here are, I think it's a 10 millimeter. Let me see what I used here. Hex head. Is that 10? Let's see. Yeah, 10 millimeter hex head. Okay, to get those out. Okay, and they're already loose. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take these out here, and then the caliper is going to come off. All right, and then we'll have the brake line. So we'll have to remove the brake line from the back, and then the caliper will be free. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me do that right now. Okay, so we have the caliper completely off. Went ahead and remove the brake line. So, and I have it tied up, and I put a rubber cap on the end to keep it from leaking. So it's nice and dry. It's not leaking at all. So let's go over to the workbench and let's take a look at the caliper. All right, so here's the rear brake caliper. Um, and then I went ahead and pulled out these pieces here. These actually snap into the pistons right here. Okay. So yeah, these are off. I just wanted to take a look in there. Also, if you go to grab all of them and wiggle them, they kind of pop out anyway. They got little snap rings on there, which hold them in place. So I'll clean this up, get that corrosion out, kind of do a wire brush on them and clean them up. Okay, so yeah, so you can see how bad it was leaking right here. So evidently this either must be powder coating. I'm assuming this is powder coating, or maybe a special kind of paint. But I'm pretty sure it must be powder coating, but I'm not quite sure because this brake fluid on here, you think it would damage it if it was paint. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that. So anyway, so what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to remove these pistons. You know, I thought about leaving the brake line hooked up and just, you know, when I dropped it down, just go ahead and push on the brake pedal to get these to pop out. But I didn't want it to, like, just in case it might just pop and spray brake fluid up around the car. I didn't want to take a chance on even one drop getting on the paint. So I know this will probably be harder, but decided to go ahead and come out here and we'll just try to remove these the best we can. So I'll have to figure something out. I don't know if there's a special tool or something, but so now I'm gonna let me try to get these pistons removed, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of fluid in there, so I have to be careful. I got some cardboard down here on the bench with something to soak up the brake fluid. So let me go ahead and see if I can get these pistons out. If I can, I'll come back and show you what I did. All right, so actually a week has passed by. Actually more than that, probably closer to 10 days. And I got it apart, but the reason why it took me so long, of course, you're not going to notice that because I'm back instantly, but it's because the pistons, when I pulled them out, this is the reason why they were leaking right here. So they're corroded. You can get really close, you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. It's ate all the way through the metal, like deep. It's really deep. Okay. And it seemed to be the two pistons that were on the this outside part of the caliper here that were corroded. The ones on the inner were fine. See, like this one was on the inner, and it looks good. Okay, no pitting or nothing. This was on the outside, and you can see it's all ate up. I don't know if the camera can. It's gonna be hard to focus on that, but it's all corroded up. Okay, and then this one's fine. Okay, so what I had to end up doing is I made tons of phone calls, been on the phone for hours trying to source these parts, and it's almost impossible. Even the seals look good though, so they should be fine. Yeah, it's almost impossible to find these parts, and I found one person that might be able to help me, but the problem is they can probably get the size, but what's happening in these, there's a groove inside. If you can see that, it's inside here, and there's these pieces here this snap ring snaps in that groove in there inside the piston. So that was another issue. We didn't have that groove in there. So the only thing we can do is, because it's running into dead ends for now, is just we had to buy another caliper. So we just bought a used one from Exotic Auto Recyclers out of California. And I talked to Josh out there. He was really nice and helped me out, explained to him what I needed, and so he had a caliper, and he sent it to me, and so we got some of the pistons here, and the problem is some of these are not, and he gave me a discount on the caliper too, so it was really nice of him. But one of the pistons I couldn't get out of the old caliper, and then you see right here, this is on one of the pistons. See, it's already started pitting, and this is another caliper. So I don't know if this is a common problem with these. And this caliper was out of an 07 also, so you're talking the same year. And then this piston right here I cleaned this one up. It's not as bad, but it's still, you see the pit in there? See it? Right there. And then you got this one here. And it looks good. See, I cleaned it up. And then right here, it's got a little pit in it right there. Just a very small one. This camera's going to amplify it really. So yeah, it's really small. So yeah, I'm just kind of stuck right now. So what I'm going to do is, actually, this one I can't use, obviously. Okay, so that one's out of luck. And really, I only need 2 of them. So yeah, so we had to buy a whole caliper just for 2 of these. But this one here, this one and this one, those little tiny marks right there, you see it's behind the seal here. I mean, it's in front of the seal. So the seal's right here. So it's not going to affect it holding brake fluid. The only thing that would be kind of in the way would be there's a dust seal. And if you look right here, so here's your main seal. This is what holds all your pressure. And then you have like a dust seal right here. And you can see it. It's actually got a split in the O-ring. See right there? And so yeah. You know, this is not really a sealing ring, so if that comes in contact with that, is it going to hurt it? I don't think so. It's not going to make a difference, I don't think. I mean, it's not perfect, not what I want, but we're kind of stuck right now, so I'm just going to have to do what we can do. But it's going to work. I have no issues with it working. It's going to work perfect, actually. But, you know, you figure if you spend, you had to buy a whole new caliper for these right here, you know, you kind of want them. I want them perfect, you know, but I mean, we're stuck. There's nothing we can do right now, not unless you want to spend, you know, $2,500, $3,000 on another caliper, because they're not going to sell these separate. So, so yeah, we're kind of stuck right now. And Josh even said that he would send me another caliper, but it could be in the same. It could be even worse than these, you know. So. I mean, what we're supposed to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these for now, and then it's going to work fine. And then while you know this car it's in service now, it's going to be able to be driven, and then we can try and see if we can get some way to source these parts out, and then if we can figure that out, and then I'll kind of pass the info on to y'all, so that way if you have this problem, you know, with the brakes or whatever on a 430, then you'll know where to source the parts at. So let me go ahead and get these parts, these seals and these pistons put back in this caliper, and let's go ahead and get it reassembled. All right, I just wanted to show you something before I finish putting this all the way together. I got 2 of the pistons in, you see right here. All right, they went in really nice. So basically what I did was I cleaned the pistons up with some 1500 grit, wet sanded them so they're like silky smooth, and then put a little bit of brake lubricant on it, and then those popped right on in, nice and easy, okay. But before I did that, I put the seals in, and then I just want to show you, like on this one seal here that goes in, this is that dust seal, the one that has a split in it. It's hard to see right here. I just took this little tool here and just went carefully, just cleaned that little ridge to get the debris out of it, you know. Cleaned it out, wiped it out, and put it in here. And then just put a little bit of brake lubricant on my finger and just rub it around the seal inside there, and then put the pistons in, okay. Here's this cap right here. This is the part that rides on the brake pad, okay. So this snaps in on the top of the piston. If you'll see, there's a snap ring on there. And what I like to do is so the piston, the way the caliper's put on, okay, if you're looking at it here, this would be facing, this would be facing up this way towards the top of the car. And then this would be facing towards the ground. What I'm going to do is take this right here. See the snap ring? There's a gap in there. It doesn't close all the way. So if it was up this way, facing up, when you go through water or even wash your car stuff, water can migrate down inside here and puddle up inside the pistons. It's probably what's causing it to corrode up really bad in there. So to try and combat it, it's not going to be a watertight seal. Just make sure that this gap is facing down towards the ground, okay? That way some of the water excess can run around it and drip to the ground, okay, instead of migrating inside there. So it'll probably kind of help out a little bit with the corrosion, okay? So also, another thing I noticed too that I said earlier, I didn't know if this was powder coating or paint. It's definitely paint because it's bubbling up. You see right here where it had been dripping, and you probably won't be able to see it here, but these are bubbles here, and they're really soft. Okay, they actually kind of hardened up a little bit more, but they're still, you can take this and probably scrape all this paint off here, but we're not going to mess with it. So thank God it didn't get on the exterior of it. You know what I mean? So that's fine. You can't see that. So that's where it was dripping at. So anyway, yeah. So this is paint. So be careful if you get brake fluid on it. Okay, let me, I guess we can go ahead and finish putting it together now. All right, so we have the caliper completely assembled and it's ready to go in the car now. So you can see all the pistons are in here, nice and smooth when they went in. And these are the tops that snap on. They're right against the brake pad. Okay, and this side's done here too. So turned out really good. And there's a good sign. So when I went to put the last piston in, I couldn't get it in because it formed such a tight air seal. It wouldn't go in at all, and I started pushing the other ones out. So what I had to do was I had a little cap here I used to keep any contamination getting inside the caliper. So I had to kind of pull that out a little bit, get some air in there. So that's a really good sign that it's got some got a good seal. So that's very promising. Okay. So yeah, that was pretty easy. Not too bad at all. And also here's that other caliper that I got from Exotic Auto Recycling. I particularly asked for this one here, and this caliper, I mean, I'm not going to be shy and not tell you the price. This one was actually $1,250, which is actually pretty normal price for something like this right here. Even though it's burnt, it's still a good caliper though. You can reuse all these parts here, but there's one piston that was stuck in there, and I think it's because of the seals inside of either the corrosion or the seals. But if I had to take a guess, I would say probably the seals are stuck. Maybe a combination of both. I was able to get the 3 pistons out, and I was able to use 2 of them. Okay, one of them was a little bit beyond, and then 2 of them were actually all 3 of these had pits in them, but these 2 were, you've seen them when I cleaned them up, they were actually salvageable. Okay, so I was able to get this caliper here to work. Okay. So yeah, but he gave me a deal on this, and I think we got it for like $650 or something like that, because I told him exactly what I wanted to do. I just wanted to use the pistons out of here. So he gave it to me for like $650, I think it was. And so I mean, you can't complain. I mean, there's no other place you're going to go to get a caliper for that cheap. To get even if you're just using the parts, I mean, you still have to buy the caliper. They're not gonna sell you pistons, because it's basically going to ruin this whole caliper, because there's not going to be I mean, it ain't like they knew that there was corrosion on it, because they did not know. Okay, and there's no way they would know. Okay, and but it's not a big deal. I mean, really, if you think about it, basically you're really just paying for this outside part. That this is worth more than the $650, to tell you the truth. So, but this is salvageable. We can repaint this and reuse it again. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that this is what we pulled the parts off from. So just want to say thanks to Josh for helping me out and sourcing me out a caliper so I can get some parts out of it. It was very nice of him to do that. So yeah, so let's get this caliper and let's go ahead and get it mounted on the car. All right, so we have the rear brake caliper on. Actually, I went ahead and finished everything with it. I already bled it out and everything, so it feels good. The pedal feels good. Actually, it feels better than it ever has felt. So anyway, basically all I did was take the caliper. I'll just go through real quick. Slid it on. You got these 2 bolts here. Went ahead and torqued those down to 85 Newton meters, and that's a 10 millimeter hex. Then after I did that, I took my pads, I greased up the back of the backing plate of the ceramic pads, and then I slid those in, okay, and try to line that hole in that pad up with this hole here on the side of the caliper as best you can, okay. And then once I did that, then the sensor right here, this little wire that has the brakes sensor on there, so just put it through that little hole right here, just slide it through there, and there's a little slot in the brake pad, and just slide it in that slot. This sensor only goes in one way, so it won't go in. You might have to rotate it, and then it'll go in, okay? And then it clips in. So make sure you put that in the right way, otherwise you'll break it, okay? Then once you get that in, that sensor, then you're going to go ahead and take this top pin, slide it in from the back here, and then you'll have to use something to tap it in the rest of the way until it looks like this here. It's fully seated, okay? Then you're going to take your spring clip right here, and then you're going to put it under, and you're going to hook it under that pin. See right there? I put a little grease on it too right there. So anyway, hook it under there, and then make sure these two pieces are resting on the pads evenly. Don't make sure it's not cocked to the side or anything. And then push down on this end of the spring clip here, and then take your other pin, put it in from the backside, work it all the way through as far as you can, and you have to wiggle it through and get it to go over the top of this spring clip, and then get it here as far as you can. Then you have to tap it in the rest of the way until it looks like this, okay? You'll feel it when it seats in, okay? It'll snap in place. And then that's it. That's it. It looks great. So, yeah, so I already bled it out. I hooked a Leonardo diagnostic tool to it, and I went ahead and bled out this ABS for this side here, because this is where I had to stop when I was making that video on bleeding ABS. So once I finished that video up, I came to this side and it was leaking, okay? So yeah, so the pedal feels good. I checked all the seals in there. There's no fluid leaking, so it's holding fluid, and I even pushed down the brake pedal pretty hard, put some pressure on it, and came back and checked it, and there's no brake fluid at all leaking. So hopefully everything looks good so far. So we're ready. Got my stud in here to put the wheel on, and yeah, we're ready to go now. So I'll put the wheel on, put the lug nuts on, torque this down, and then this is finally done. So yeah, so now I can move to the other, go ahead and bleed out the ABS on the other two front wheels, okay? Then I also let the bleeder, the vacuum, pull extra fluid out to go ahead and flush all the lines out, okay? So we didn't do that. So yeah, it turned out great. So yeah, so I just want to say thanks again to Josh at Exotic Auto Recycling for the parts. Otherwise, his car would be sitting for I don't know how long. So it turned out great. So thanks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope maybe we learned something together. Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.